Hello everyone, Ohayou gozaimasu. Welcome to Ohayou Anime, the anime show that doesn't take place in the morning, but it is morning in Japan, so that's how we're getting away with it. It's been a hot minute since we've had a show, but we're back with a fun one to talk about. It's going to be Dandadan night. Dandadan. So, my name is John, and we're going to have a couple guests tonight, including Phil. Let's get Phil in here. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, John. Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. Back in the saddle.
Yeah. It has been quite a hot minute.
It has. Yeah, it's been a little while.
Oh, you great. Got a new AI background there?
I do. My this room is just, the walls are boring. I don't know.
And you're fancying or sporting a stash now too.
I am. Yeah.
Are you cowboy for Halloween?
No, I've had it for a couple months now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here, let me see.
This
light's kind of bright. Let me just try. There we go. It's a little better.
You're old enough. My brother-in-law always said, like, once you're a dad, you can have a mustache.
Yeah, I think so.
Before that.
Yeah, I'm pushing 40, so I feel like, Dana's ready for me to not have it anymore, I think, but I want it a little longer.
Gotta try stuff out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I said, some days want to do something different for fun. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, I always do that when, after a beard, taking down the various levels and stuff like that. And, some people are like, I remember Ashley, she like some guy from one of those shows it's a period drama. It's got big chops, it's like, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
But, you kind of had to fit your wardrobe to that. Doesn't necessarily go with an everyday sort of thing. It's like I wear a cowboy hat for work often, but sometimes what I'm wearing doesn't feel right with it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah. You either have to like really lean into the period aspect of it, or you have to like do it ironically and wear it with like hipster stuff.
Right.
I mean, but you can't wear it with just like normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like typical, whatever, what most people wear.
Yep. Yeah. I never with the cowboy hat thing, I never understood. It's like, okay, I get it. You're in the rodeo, but that doesn't mean you wear your hat to dinner or everywhere you go.
Yeah. I agreed. I mean, I don't think technically people should technically wear hats to dinner at all.
Correct. Right. Yes.
Impolite.
Absolutely.
Technically, I mean, if we're going back to like mismanners, but
yeah.
No, I get what you're saying though. And I get, I mean, certainly I think I think it's a big cultural thing too. Like I think parts of the country or certain areas, it's just everyone wears them all the time. So probably very normal.
Well, I'm glad you can still hear me because I'm having my monitors freak out. Everything turned off except for one. Now they came back.
Yeah, you look great. You look great to me, John.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about, as I said before, Dandadan. That's the main topic. Andrea should be joining us, so hopefully we'll give her a little bit to jump in here.
Yep.
But I haven't heard from her, so if she doesn't show up, we'll
that'd be too bad, but
we'll move on. But
yesterday was Halloween though, and everyone was busy. So
was it? You guys have fun? I know your neighborhood's always crazy.
Yeah, we had like almost a little shy 1,800 kids.
Nice. That's great.
It was wild. Yeah. It was fun.
Really seems neighborhood dependent now.
Definitely.
You can go places and there's just nothing. On one hand, I think sometimes the do it from a trunk sort of thing.
Oh, sure.
Trunk. Yeah. Or at a mall, like a central location kind of wrecks it. But at the same time, it is convenient. So for our kids, for like their first time, like being able to do something with Halloween, that's what we did is went to a mall and the right amount of kind of introduction for them.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. When they're that little, like my kids were your kids' age, we did like 2 or 3 houses and I was like, okay, They just wanted to do it. They hardly even eating candy and stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's like in and out of the seat, it seems like a lot
right.
for, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, we just walk because it's so concentrated just in our
Yeah,
little couple blocks. We don't have to go more than a block or two, and you can fill a bag of candy.
right.
But
Nice.
yeah.
Well, for the spooky season, have you managed any kind of horror anime? I know Dandadan is sort of, deals with paranormal
Yeah.
subject matter, so it's
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Don Don, I guess would be probably the most. Oh, I actually, yeah, I haven't gotten too far in it, but I finally pulled the trigger on watching Yu Yu Hakusho. Hakusho?
okay.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Hakusho, yeah.
Hakusho.
Hmm.
That's he's like a spirit detective. So I think that actually very much spooky season
Yeah,
like adjacent.
ac-
Um,
right.
he like dies and he's like it's demons and yeah.
Yep,
So
perfect.
yeah, I really like it so far. I mean, it's like at this point almost kind of like retro. I mean, even though it's early '90s, it's not that old, but
I
um,
mean,
pretty old.
it is now, I guess. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is now.
I mean that was a while ago. I guess doesn't seem like that long
Mhm.
ago, but yeah, I really liked it. I think I'm like 8 or 9 episodes in.
Yep. Well,
But
we're products of the 90s, and let's get another
yep.
one in here. Andrea, how's it
Hey,
going? Oh, God, we can't hear you. We can hear
can't hear you.
static. So I'm going to mute you for a minute until I see what happens there.
Yeah,
So we don't
that's
have the
weird.
static.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Think
I
she
want
can
to
hear us.
show off while
Talk
she's
louder.
restarting that or checking her mic settings. Oh, I'll mute her. Oh, I still hear static. We're checking this. Okay. I got a new tumbler. See if you can
Mm-hmm.
see it.
Oh, there it
Got
goes.
Trunks from Dragon Ball on it. Yeah.
Nice. Hmm.
Oh, still lots of static from Andrea.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna keep unmuting it occasionally to
Andrea, maybe you could just do completely just chat your way through the podcast.
just just go in the comments section on
Yeah,
YouTube
just participate
and yeah,
via typing.
absolutely.
Just the whole time.
That'll work great. Mhm.
That's me great. Yeah, I love it.
All right, so again. Oh yeah, it's just getting higher pitch. Yeah,
Yeah.
every time I turn on, it's like a higher pitch static.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know the football player Gronk, whatever,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I do.
This is his company that made this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They'll
So-
they'll engrave whatever you want on there.
No, they did a partnership with Dragon Ball Z,
Oh.
so there's a variety of those, and they have other
Sure.
branded or different IPs that they use for it. So
Is Gronk a big anime fan?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know, or just taking advantage of the market that's there, because this has I have it out of here now. We're not sponsored by what is this, ice shaker tumblers,
No.
but in the top you can put this sort of a shaker thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a shaker ball, but that's what it does, and you,
Oh,
so you
sure.
can use it for protein or whatever too.
Oh, well, sure.
So-
Yeah. That tracks. Yeah.
Yep.
Can it do you have
Check
Andrew
Andrea.
muted, or is it working?
Yep. Oh, no static. Let's see.
That's good. Oh, nice. You did it.
Hey. All right.
Yay, magic something. I hit buttons. I,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
unplugged and replugged, turned it on and off, as the IT people tell you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll solve most problems.
Well, how are you doing tonight, Andrea?
Good. It's been a long week. I ain't gonna lie.
Mhm.
So TG to the IF.
Yep.
All just like getting through all the Halloween things.
Oh yeah, I mean Halloween was for sure busy, but kids had medical appointments and we found out some new stuff. So, life was just very busy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Halloween was
Well,
fun. It was also insanity because, we got the kids ready. Like I got them all dressed up. They were Misty and Espion, and Cora was Misty, and she was holding like a little Corsola. So we thought that was pretty cute.
That's cute.
but yeah, I got them all like dressed up and ready to go. And then grandma and grandpa came over to visit, and then trick or treaters started. And like, I know I can't compare to your neighborhood, Phil, but like for someone who is used to getting like max 6 trick or treaters, we had like 70 to 80 at least. Like there were a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And it was like constant groups.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was nuts. But it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I would rather have that any day. I came within like 4 pieces of candy of running out. So I was like, whoo!
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
Halloween was nuts, but it was very fun.
Yeah.
I've never gotten to experience that. Like every year I've been anywhere, I always say it, I'm prepared with candy. Nothing. Basically nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys will have to come to our neighborhood, John, when the
you should. It's so awesome.
I'm totally want to do that. Yeah. That'd be great. So get the real experience like you'd see in the 80s horror movie. The real kids walking around the streets around the place.
Yep.
Yes.
I've heard it is like that in like parts of New England, like Salem and stuff.
I mean, how could it not be?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
No, last night was my first experience like that. Like I said, we've had years where we've had none, 2, like I said, max 6. This was wild.
That's very interesting. The shift,
Yeah.
You didn't move. So
I mean, it was really, pretty shit weather. So I thought, I thought there were going to be people, but I just didn't expect the level.
Yeah.
And, it was reminiscent, got to do it. It was reminiscent of 91, kids out there in their little jackets, some under, some over the costume.
Sure.
Some definitely like retooled their costume to include warm clothing. It was cute.
91 when we were all like
4
to 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember it. Well, I actually do remember it, but vaguely.
I do too. I mean, yeah, like I don't have like a video montage of the night, but I have like fleeting, images of the snow and stuff,
My sister was a geisha that year and was wearing like sandals, like flip flops.
That's unfortunate.
I was a witch that year. I was a witch. So easy to just throw a jacket on or, whatever, sweater.
Yeah,
sure.
For sure.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you guys had some Halloween festivities. It's worse to ask someone what they did for Halloween and the answer is nothing. Lame. Get out of here.
Yeah, we had a work icebreaker. We had a work meeting and we were just doing like a fun, like, get to know you. And the question was, what was your favorite Halloween costume you've ever dressed up in?
Oh.
And mine was Chris and I doing Negan and Lucille from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I really loved that one. But there were people who were like, oh, I don't do Halloween. And I was like, who are you?
Well, we're not going to get along.
Exactly.
Ice is
that project I was working on with you? Not going to do it anymore.
I quit. I just quit. I'm not any one of them.
I just quit.
Do you have a lot
of
new coworkers right now that you have, or just like?
I have a couple, yeah, and also it was just like a training, and it was like, it's over lunchtime. We ordered some food for the training, and let's just like play a fun game to chat, while we sit and eat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But do you guys have one? Do you have a favorite costume you've dressed up in? It's a tougher question than you think, especially if you love Halloween.
I liked my Thor when I was Thor from Thor Ragnarok. I felt like I really
you looked good.
Thanks. Yeah, I like that one.
Yep.
From Thor Ragnarok. So
he had like the buzz hair, and
I worked at your house for a Halloween party.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
I also worked to work that it was like one of the first years I worked at the Children's Hospital, so it was cool.
Yep. Dana was Valkyrie. I was Scarlet Witch, and Chris was awesome. Vision. Yeah, Dana looks great.
Like hot.
Cool.
I mean,
Clip it.
You know what's playing in my head right now, Phil.
I do. They were.
Not podcast.
And
safe.
you did.
Right.
John, what about you?
Yeah, it's a good. It's tough. A lot of my costumes that I really liked are like anime convention ones.
Sure.
Or
So
Renfest.
when I think about or Renfest, yeah, absolutely. So Halloween, like it's been tough because it's for me to prepare a good costume with work, but it was just the time of year. But you mentioned like
Oh, right.
Negan and stuff. That was I did like that year.
That was cool.
That was fun because I bought a jacket that is like Rick, also Leon Kennedy jacket. And I've worn that for years. I love doing costumes with practical garments and stuff that I can apply to things. And I just remember that photo shoot being fun and all that.
Yes, that was a fun one.
That was good.
What were Dana and I that year, Andrea?
You were zombies, and you were like, but you were like sleep zombies because you were all like in robes and like tattered PJs.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was a Walking Dead themed Halloween party.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great year. I need to see some of those pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really fun year, and I think
we had so much fun for
the photo.
kids.
The photo shoot with. The photo shoot was fun too because I think like we were all together, whereas like some other photo shoots, we do more solo. Like Alan has done some cool stuff, but it is fun to be in a group to do it too.
Yeah, it was cool that we were able because often it's okay, superhero theme can work, but if you're from different superhero universes or if it's whatever, this is very like it's pretty good. We all got into one show.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
that's a lot of people from one show.
Yep.
It shows what an impact for at least our age group Walking Dead was at the time.
Yeah.
It had its minute for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was fun when I said it at work because like everybody was like, yeah. It was like one of those shows that you didn't have to be like, oh yeah, so this is like a show that blah blah blah. It's like everybody remembered.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. All right. Well, our show tonight is, as it said, it's Dandadan episodes 1 through 5. That's what's currently available. It is a bit of a spooky. There's a bit of a spooky element to it.
Yeah.
Just not in its like presentation. It's not trying to scare you, but it does deal with aliens and ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
So
its
works
tone
out.
Isn't scary, but it has scary subject matter.
Yep. Now, one thing that's interesting with this is that it's on Crunchyroll and Netflix.
Yeah, I thought that was strange.
It's not common.
Weird, right?
I don't know of another show that's really been that way.
And it's coming out like weekly on both platforms.
Yeah, that's the unique thing. Normally, it'd be like, oh, it's on the Crunchyroll, and then when it's done, then it goes over to Netflix
snaps
too.
it up. Yeah.
So,
but I think Crunchyroll thinks I'm a little worried about my Crunchyroll algorithm because I'm watching it on Netflix. I'm afraid Crunchyroll is going to think that I'm not watching like the top show of all. Like I am.
Yeah,
Crunchyroll.
You just gotta
not on your platform.
Just like autoplay it somewhere. Yeah.
This guy was an anime fan. Now we're not so sure. Noob. He doesn't know what to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm. So Phil, you've read. I don't know what drew me to this. I think it was the bright colors. Honestly, I'm like a child or something is like, ooh, colors in store for the manga. That made me look at it, and so I've been reading Dandadan. I'm one volume behind now. It just came out, or something like that. But so the manga's still going, and it had me excited for this show. Phil, I know you picked up a couple of volumes or something. Are you very far in that, or?
I picked up I have like 4 volumes, and then I started reading it on Shonen Jump website. So, oh gosh, I'm probably like 2 or 3 anime seasons worth estimated into the manga. I've been I kind of dropped off on it. But I anticipate once the season's over, I'll be like, oh, now I want to watch more, or I want to so I'll get back into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I kind of go in I kind of am a little streaky with manga. I'll read it. I'll read like a a story for a lot over like a couple days or, you know, a week or two even sometimes, and then I'll go like a month without reading it. But I did that with One Punch Man. I like caught all the way up, and then I haven't read it in like probably a good year and a half, and I bet there's a ton more now for me to read. So,
Sure.
my guess.
Yeah.
Because God knows when that show's ever going to put out another season.
Yeah.
Throwback.
Sadly, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I assume God knows, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I just mean like they said there was like a couple of years ago, they're like, okay, there's a new update's coming soon. And then it was like a year later and they're like, no one heard anything. So I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is strange because, to my understanding, it's a very successful show. Obviously,
First season was. I think the second season just wasn't done as well as a different studio, but yeah, it's a very popular manga and show, and it's weird. I think it's weird. I don't know why.
Yeah,
there's been these delays.
Well, Dandadan is definitely weird. Were you expecting the kind of insanity that this show brings?
No, I wasn't.
You didn't know much about it going in, Andrea?
I knew very little. I mean, I knew the basic premise of the show, the art style, you know, and kind of like a general outline for some of the plot, but nothing specific. And, you know, I mean, when you think about like the show that is going to be deal with like a girl who believes in ghosts and a guy who believes in UFOs and like them convincing each other, like, sure, you expect a level of weirdness, but you know, the first show, I think, was just like, oh, did you like have your expectations here? We're going to go here. Like it was very 0 to 60.
Yeah.
So it like hit me right away. And it kind of took me a minute to settle into it and not be like, WTF.
It's wild.
Yeah. Phil, do you think it's matching the tone of the manga well?
Yeah, I do think so. Yep. Every once in a while, I'm like, was that in the manga? I think it's actually hewing pretty closely to the story of the manga, which that's pretty typical, right? Or I don't know. I mean, you read more manga. I don't read much manga, John. So did anime usually stick pretty close, or do they go rogue sometimes? Or you're like, am I even watching the same show here?
Yeah, I think and I don't read as much manga as a lot of people, but from my experience, I think they used to more often deviate from the manga than they do now. I think with the added popularity, it's kind of really become this thing in tandem. You know, like I say, Dandadan is currently going in the manga form, and then while it starts up in the anime form, and there's been situations before where, you know, the anime catches up to the manga and then things get weird, you know, that sort of thing.
Like Game of Thrones
Full Metal Alchemist is always the example.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays, a lot of times it's pretty close. It's, you know, they elaborate on action. You know, oftentimes in a comic form, the action is only a couple panels, maybe, or whatever. It could be longer, but they add a lot to that.
Yeah, that makes
whatever the pacing needs to be. But yeah, from memory, this seems pretty close. I know I've seen that again. They did that in this, where they really lengthened some of the, well, at least one action sequence in particular. So I think it's to me, it's about like, how do they manage to, you know,
replicate the tone.
That's really important. You know, it's and especially when something is predominantly black and white. You know, they give you the color pages at the beginning or in the cover to set your expectations in there and let you know what's happening. But
I think it's very close. Like I have, even though I'm reading it mostly on Shonen Jump, I do have, like I said, 4 or 5 volumes, and all the covers and the color pages are quite vibrant, and they're using, I think they certainly seems like they design the show's color palette based off of like the manga jackets and stuff.
Yep.
It's
quite just music too. Like, how do you set that with music? So yeah, I've been happy about that.
Yeah, it's very, I feel like the vibes are on point.
Yep. Okay, what do we think? What do we think about our characters? So we're introduced right away. We have a lot of times a lot of stereotypes or whatever. How is this fitting into the kind of anime tropes or stereotypical characters, and how does it feel different? Or I think that, Andrea.
Ooh, me again. Yeah, it's again, it kind of, the first episode threw me off a little bit in terms, not I think of our main guy character, because he is more, I think, stereotypical, like loner nerd, like picked on, ostracized, like outsider. There's a lot there that's like very recognizable. Like he is like a geek, yeah, and
Yeah.
he is, so dressed accordingly. So I think he sort of like set up a lot of my, or met a lot of stereotypes that I think of for his character. I think it's, our main girl that I couldn't get a beat on right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also some of that was like the art style that was happening in some of like the interpersonal interactions. Like some of it was like there were times when it was like very pretty and clean, and there were times when it was like rough,
Mm-hmm.
and then there were times when it was like full like chibi. And so it was like I didn't really have the greatest vision of like who she was going to be first.
Sure.
Phil?
And what she was going to be like. Oh. Sorry.
No, it's yeah. I think I actually don't know that I see a lot of characters like Miss Ayase, and she's almost like this like devil may care, I do what I want character. I feel like they're often like guys in anime, like teenage guys who are like, I'm just like do it. So she's not very reserved, and she's almost like a teenage American girl versus like a teenage Japanese girl, if that makes sense. Like, she like tried to kick her boyfriend, I don't know. And then she just like, I don't know, does what, she kind of does and says whatever she wants. She isn't very demure, which, as I think how they really present teenage women in a lot of anime. But
I think to speak to that, like, I think there was something interesting that turned my expectations in the beginning, when she clearly had like a lot of anger towards her boyfriend, who,
Sure.
they were in the middle of breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And, she turns around to like kick him in the face. And normally like really angry girls land the kick. Do you know what I mean? And they didn't let her. And then her boyfriend ended up like hitting her.
Yeah.
And so usually like if you have like stereotypical angry girl character, like she beats up everybody. Like she always lands it, and like
right.
So I that's why I was sort of like, oh, so like she's angry girl but not angry girl, and then she goes to school and like is like, feel sorry for me. Like
Yeah.
so
sure.
yeah, so that was less stereotypical than I expected.
Yeah. I actually don't feel like they lean into the tropes a ton at all. Like, I don't know. They just seem like pretty typical, like high school kids then who go on this, like, just kind of this interesting meetup and start hanging out and going after these supernatural things together. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Okarun, he feels more typical for me at this point. But he breaks it up a little bit in being able to he can talk to her, and he can say what he feels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times this character could go into like, and we hear his thoughts then too. It's sometimes it's so like he goes along totally with she's not going to want to see me anymore.
Yeah.
This is just circumstantial, all sort of thing. But then at the end, like he's still like, he's capable of talking to her and saying he likes hanging out and all this sort of thing. And that might be a thing that takes a lot of episodes for the character to build up to and other things.
Oh yeah, and that gets old fast. I'm glad they didn't spend too much time on it. And the manga doesn't spend too much time on it either. They become pretty
chummy
fast, and it's like, obviously there's like a rom-com element to it. Will they, won't they, are they just going to be really good friends, or they like each other maybe, like like I don't know, he has a crush on her, does she like him, I mean so that kind of stuff. So
it is nice though that, like, I think the show does well. They go through some like really intense shit really quickly.
Yeah.
And so that's why they can still be chummy while still being like, I don't know, maybe. But also, like, we went through this crazy, battle, and there's like at least a level setting of gotta be a little bit comfortable.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, and I say, I like your point, Andrea, with like trying to kick him and then it doesn't work out. That's it is a good introduction right away that we're breaking a stereotype. And it gives something then for her to grow to, like she doesn't feel powerful at this point. She's at a lower point or whatever in her life, and then she can through she gets psychic abilities, so now she becomes more capable, and it's like starting to figure out how to use that. And then she is a little less, often the way that an anime would do this, they would have all the side characters are very kind of cut out, fill a type, and so that way, as a viewer, anyone you want to crush on, you've got your type, and they're sort of unchanging sort of thing that you can latch onto. But then your main character, is hopefully more interesting, and I think they do a good job of making her interesting, in that she's not, again, it's good that we get to hear both their thoughts, because she's real. She makes, lashes out in anger, but it's like, I regret that. She's not just the mean girl or just the aggressive girl. She had, so I like all those elements of her. Makes her endearing and feel more.
They're like both
real.
Deeper characters.
Yeah.
Yep. And which it's good to have some of that in a show that is so not deep in a lot of ways. The show is just take you on this crazy ride, so the characters have to be interesting and changing, and how's their relationship, and like how do they all respond, because the world and the events is just going to be off the wall. Let's have fun and do crazy shit. So.
And there's not, this show does, it's kind of like, it reminds me of like kind of like a some like plays, sorry Andrew, will be like smaller cast, like a small cast like show. This is like a small cast show. I mean, you got like some of their friends at school, but they're not super involved at all times, and they got her grandma, and they got like some of the spirits and stuff, and there are a couple characters who are, I think, now in this next arc of the second half of the season are going to be introduced. But even then, you got like a pretty small. Oh, and then Turbo Granny stuck in the cat. That's a cool character. But really, there's not that many if you compare it to like a lot of other shows who have, to your point, John, all these like tropey side characters who are like serving a certain purpose.
Yep.
I mean, the talking cat, I guess, is an example of that. Your little
even
talking things.
But
so there's some of that, obviously.
Also,
but it's a little different.
Yeah. And I won't give anything away for later, but I will just say with Turbo Granny at this point, we've seen how they give her a look. She's an evil spirit, but she kind of has a reason as to why she became the way she was.
Sure.
And sometimes that stuff in an anime can feel forced or quick. How it's like, oh, here's this bad. There are anime where every bad guy, it feels like, becomes a good guy eventually.
Oh, sure.
It's like every one of them. It's like, well, that bad guy is so cool, and don't you want to like him? But he's bad, and then eventually becomes a good guy because of circumstances. It's like, remember the bad stuff he did in the past? I mean,
he still committed genocide, so that's not great.
right. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think there's an interesting story to the Turbo Granny, and that's a common thing with I think yokai and stuff is there's a reason they're a lesson for a societal thing, like they're a lesson for, there's a yokai for if you don't take good care of your things, like you're mean to your possessions,
Sure.
that can create a yokai.
Interesting.
I remember what that one's called, but it's, you tell kids that, like, hey, you're gonna be nice to your books, or that's gonna turn into a yokai, and
Interesting.
you're gonna be in trouble.
So people still
all,
scare their kids in Japan with the threats of a yokai developing, like ghost stories.
I guess I don't know how much that is versus like a Krampus in Germany. I guess I don't.
Sure.
I can't speak to that how valid that is, but in current day. But
sure, yeah. I mean, it's obviously part of their country's history and mythology. Yeah,
right. Yep, and there's tons of them. You can find yokai for all different kinds of things. So
totally,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about it visually a little bit. Andrea, you had mentioned like it being, kind of changing in style. Phil, did you feel that way as well? And did you like it? You like its visual style?
Yeah. I think it moves pretty rapidly through some of the different styles. Gosh, I think it just always looks good. Like I think the animation and the art is just incredible. So, I mean, no matter what, I don't know. It's just a fast moving show, and they move through the styles fast, and it's, I think it's well, I mean, it to my kind of more or less still untrained eye, I think it's like really well produced and directed and animated, and like you're saying, like the direction is really good, and like the most recent season of Jujutsu Kaisen, like that's how I kind of felt about this show. It's like it just seems like it's just cool choices and like cool shots, and and there's lots of opportunity. I think it's easy to do with a manga like this because there's so many cool things happening and weird things happening. There's lots to choose from to make like really cool anime shots and stuff. But I mean, they do a good job with it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's easy. I can do it.
Andrea, did you like the varying styles or the art that kind of ended up going with in this, and the movement of it, the animation as well?
I think it feels a little bit more settled now. Like I said, episode 1 was just like such a chaotic, arc and introduction that I just was sort of like, I'm not sure where this is going to land. I do also, I think, enjoy, like I didn't really love the alien abduction. For
no one does.
And the color I mean, I don't know. You might find someone. But like the color choices there, like the blue, it just like it didn't resonate. Whereas more like the spirit clashes and like the whole scene with Turbo Granny and like the deep, maroons and reds, and then like we had psychic powers and that like awesome like teal to contrast, like that's more my speed and my color palette. So I think I enjoyed that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I also enjoyed, Okarun's transformation, in his kind of like split with Turbo Granny and his like, so all of that stuff I found more like appealing, I think, and is what helped me kind of like settle into the show. Like I said, the first episode was tough for me.
Fair enough.
I think also for some reason the opening, credits and music wasn't quite what I was expecting. So again, I had to like settle into it, and now I really like it. Yeah. But it was like when I was trying to figure out the show, and I was like, this is a lot of chaos.
It's absolutely. And it kind of just starts off like,
it's very unapologetic. It's just like, here, like everything, a lot, settle in. We're not going to hold back. And then you can like, take a breather as we like take you down some, but also ramp you back up for
they definitely will have some moments. I feel like usually they're like having family dinner at grandma's house. Like you'll have a couple of moments here and there where things settle down for like, I don't know, a day.
Yeah.
And then it's like back to some craziness.
Yeah. I think it helped. I mean, I tried to warn people, like, I guess, going in like, hey, you want to just anyone I've been telling about the show is like, you want just crazy fun, then go for it. So I hope that helps for setting expectations. I look at this style like they're proteges of Studio Trigger. So it's like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill and Brand New Animal and all that sort of thing. But they see what they've done and are inspired by it and have their own kind of way they want to manage that, because it's not as crazy as this is. It's not as crazy as a lot of Studio Trigger stuff. Like things that happen, like story-wise or something, but the visual representation is still more grounded than what they do, and yet they keep a great frenetic sort of pace. And I think they do such a good job with the motion of everything, and everything's still feeling really visible and clear, even in the most frantic of moments. Whereas something like, whether it was from unfinished things or whether it's art style in the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen, where things were just getting like, okay, we're sketching now. This is like and it creates a frenetic kind of image, but it also feels so different. And so I've been happy with it. Do you guys, does it bother you at all that it's like, oh, this doesn't really make sense in a lot of ways, or you just like, I'm just going with it,
Is in like they're not explaining the background to like why aliens and ghosts
now
exist?
He lost his penis.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm going with it.
Yeah. Wait, the penis is back, but now his testicles are gone.
Or like, and then Kruger Granny's like, no, I honestly just don't remember what happened to his balls. And then they have to like go track him down. And no, not really. It's just not the kind of show. And there's like very little like exposition, which is nice. Things just kind of happen, and you're just like, oh, that's weird. So no, I'm cool with it. I don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they give you enough, like, especially with like, oh, I have psychic powers now, like,
right.
There's enough that says like, my granny was a spirit medium, and there's like some sort of like very loose base that is probably better not explained.
Right.
Like it's just stuff. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy the aliens terribly much. But I think there might be a point at, there'll be some sort of backgroundy thing there too. Because obviously we got background on like Turbo Granny. Yeah. And, why she was the way she was and how she worked.
The Kaposians are just trying to procreate, Andrea. Such a hater.
Oh my God.
What are you
well, they're going about it all wrong.
Well, it's not ideal. I will admit that.
Speaking as someone who has created life, it's not the right way.
They'll they'll figure it out. It'll take some time.
Yep.
Maybe they're new at this.
Something.
I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
If they just walk around shouting, "Give me your banana" at people, like
it's not good.
It's not generally like the way it happens.
They're actually pretty. They're pretty. They're pretty like they're not the best. But.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, and it was like a good like, oh my God, like Okarun was so validated, like, ha ha, it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
But also like, I don't know if that's like going to be something at some point to come back to.
Sure.
We shall see.
So how would you rate it in terms of your interest level? Like, are you amped every week to
This is a
see it,
show that
or
I
is
want
like-
to see. I want to watch right when it comes out every week. For me personally, I love this kind of show.
Okay.
All about it. I'm excited. I'm like Thursdays. I'm watching it Thursday night. Like watch every week. I don't wait. Yeah.
Okay, Andrea?
I like it a lot, and I feel like I'm excited to watch it. But yeah, I'm not quite at Phil's level. I do like it, but it also, like, the difference is I wasn't like coming into it like this
Sure.
show, like, you know. So
I've been
there
looking
is,
forward to this one.
yeah. So I do like it, and I like, you know, having something like the podcast to be like, yeah, gotta sit down and watch it, and then when I get into it, I'm like, yeah, that is good.
It's just such a sweet, you know, it's great. It's wild. This is a great encapsulation of the show that's still here. It's like there's all this crazy like ghost and alien stuff going on, but it's also just like a really, at its heart, like a really sweet story. Look, he's like laying on her and she's like protecting him, and they like take turns protecting each other, and they both, well, I mean, well, I don't want to give anything away, but like, and I don't know anything concrete where I am in the manga either, but I just, you know, like the panel in this last episode where they accidentally clicked their teeth together because they're not watching where they're walking. Oh, it's so cute in the manga. It was like a whole 2-pager panel. Oh yeah, I mean, I think I sent a picture to John, and I was just like, oh, so sweet.
Yeah, it's a little different than, like, you know, it's a little more realistic. It's a anime thing you can do. It's a little more realistic than like completely falling into a kiss or like on the boobs or in the crotch or something. It's a little bit more, you know. It's and it was a cute build up. Again, both of them were looking for each other, whereas in a normal thing, the Okudun character would not be. He's convinced he doesn't want anything to do with them, so he's just, you know, something like that.
And I wonder, you know, again with this picture, it's like the situations they find themselves in force them to be more like close to each other than they ordinarily, like, two high school kids would be. Like, look, he's like laying on her. I know he's passed out, but like that's why I think they become so close so fast. Is they're just like, I don't know, physical proximity. Like they're just like with each other, close with each other a lot. I don't know. I can just see where two people would become really close friends, or like, I don't know.
After knowing each other for like 3 days, you have to watch the other one poop.
Like going to war together.
So you can keep the demon from coming out. That's intimacy.
Yeah, it's very intimate. Even though they don't know if they like each other yet or not. But I mean, so.
I mean, according to what it was, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock and Speed, you know, relationships built on traumatic circumstances don't usually work out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
How dare you? These two are going to make it. I believe in these two.
I think everybody thought, you know, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock were going to make it until Speed 2, and that boat just killed our hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
It was not a love boat. No, I like too. I think that a lot of their kind of like awkwardness and their very realistic interaction comes when they are being like the normal parts of themselves. Like, they click teeth with each other at high school, or like, you know, they are just them when she's like, okay, I have to watch you while you go to the bathroom so that Turbo Granny doesn't come out. You know, like there's not a lot of like awkwardness that happens when they're like, okay, we have to go fight like the ghost or, you know, the alien now.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, oh, I tripped mid battle and landed like and squashed your boobs. Like, you know, like, no, we save that stuff for other times. Like we have to focus now.
Right. Yep.
And protect each other.
Absolutely.
And I think some of it comes from they're awkward in the school setting because it's like we know we're friends and we actually like each other and we're comfortable when it's just us, or it's like maybe Grant. But when it's like she's
other
still
people.
having to be like a high school girl who's like, oh, I can't be that open with how much I really am friends with and like my kind of nerdy friend. Like, so I don't want to get made fun of by my peers either.
But even that's balanced out, and she recognizes that. And it's like recognizes that's not nice.
And she cares some.
You know,
Yeah.
and kind of says sorry about that in a way, and like, and then does a good showing of like the mean girl that's there to, I've got another one, and well, take this and see,
But then when all the classmates thought they kissed, she was just like also denying it, like vehemently denying it too. So,
but that's quite a situation, and it's going from like from friends to now the rumor is we're dating.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Which, even though she can feel that way, I still think is like the rapid pace at which they've gone from like no interaction to all the interaction can still feel like, oh my God, can somebody just like take a beat?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, even if, like I said, even if it's something that, ultimately she's like, oh, I do want that, but I'm not ready to admit it. But like, I don't really know. It can still just feel like, holy crap. Like 2 days ago, I sat down in front of this kid and protected him from being bullied. And now like we're dating. What?
Right. Oh yeah.
And in between there, we like fought some aliens and ghosts and, someone was abducted, possessed, like.
Still a sci-fi anime. So, there's got to take some of it on.
I like that they use real, like, real aliens or different things or whatever from folklore and stuff. So like the Flatwoods monster, I've never seen a representation of that way, but that's, a thing that people talk about or whatever. So
that's cool. Yeah,
I like having that sort of, here's our take on this mythological or whatever thing,
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, Phil, what you said, there's 12 episodes this season. That's what's happening?
I believe so.
I think that's what you said.
Yeah, I think it's 12. Yeah, it's 12 total.
Okay.
Yep. So, I don't know what the deal is, but like, I feel like back in the day.
This is an A-B season kind of thing?
Oh, you mean like 2 arcs in 1 12, like
split? Yeah,
because I think we just finished this because this. I mean, they just kind of ended with Turbo. Well, yeah. I mean, this last episode was almost like a in-between arc episode, don't you think?
Yeah.
There wasn't much action.
Transitioning to the next. Yeah. We wrapped up to like Turbo Granny. We found out, hey, there's a little more to her, but new problem. New problem is the testicles.
Yep. So. Yep. And I think that's what I was going to say. I'm guessing they introduce probably one or two new characters, right, John? Don't you think? Both those in the next couple episodes?
Well, I mean, with the pacing they're doing, if they keep this on, we'll get through basically 3 arcs.
Okay.
In the 12 episodes, which to me is a pretty good pace.
Clip.
Yeah, that is a clip.
Which is fine. I mean, that's kind of Well, yeah. So, but I just really wish. It seems like back in the day, seasons were 24 episodes all the time, and now, like all the shows I really want to watch are only 12 at most. Like Solo Leveling was that way, and I just
Kaiju number 8.
Yeah, Kaiju number 8, 12 episodes, and they're like, I'm like hungry for more, and it's just that's all it is. But I don't know.
Back in the day, though, when we would be consuming anime, it would often be when it's already done. Like they would be airing it for television in Japan, and then we're gonna get it later when it's all wrapped up and stuff like that.
Months later, a year later,
right?
But those seasons are still long,
and the seasons are still long. But now, I wonder, even in Japan, I don't know this, how much the emphasis is on creating a streaming show, or show for streaming versus a show for, for network television. Sure. I don't know, but it's a changing industry. That's for sure. And I will take 12 episodes of high quality, one a year, versus like 24, and then there's a couple years in between or something like that.
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, I have to say, to that point, in terms of like focusing more on quality and maybe less a number of episodes. like I really like Yu Hakusho.
Hakusho.
Hakusho, thank you.
Yu Yu
But,
Hakusho.
yeah.
They'll say it eventually.
But I mean, it's certainly. I mean, it's like it's not. The animation's good, but I think there's a big difference between like some of the crazy visuals and like a really well done modern anime versus like a really well done early 90s anime. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
it's
a different style, but
I'm definitely nostalgic for that kind of thing, and I do think that like there are. I was reading this one thing. I might have. I don't know if I sent it to the group or not, but it's about how there's one person that was really kind of responsible for coloring and the way that they would color a lot of anime. It kind of creates the aesthetic we're familiar with as 90s anime or 80s, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that person's gone and didn't really pass on that sort of thing, and then it changes.
Yeah.
But there's just, I don't know. I like the. I appreciate what you're saying, and I get it. A modern anime that's well produced is impressive. The way that they're doing stuff using computers now, and then they hire out a lot of other talent for in between stuff. You can get a really nice product. But there was something in the 90s about yes, they didn't have much money to do it. Yes, maybe it was slower to do or something like that. Not as many people in the industry, but there's a different aesthetic that I'm
for sure.
a fan of.
And I still like it a lot. Like I love the colors in oh God, that show.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
I'm struggling.
Yu Yu Hakusho. It's on the TV there.
That's scary good, Andrea. Oh, man.
Thank you.
That's
yeah.
That's all you gotta do is
anyway.
your mom, really, to do that accent. So love your mom, obviously. That's adorable. That's great. And I know, it's like that too.
I wish that.
I mean, it's pronounced when you say Yu Yu Hakusho, but yeah.
It's me every time.
But what was your point before?
I love the. Okay. I do love the color palette.
Okay.
Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think you were actually.
Yeah,
I don't know if there was more there, but yeah.
I like when they go to like the spirit world. That's kind of a cool like. I don't know. It's kind of a oldie, nostalgic kind of vibe that I dig.
As a darker aesthetic that is just missing from anime that is brought over here today. Yeah. I don't. If there's something out there, everybody, let me know. But there's a atmospheric nature to a lot of shows from the 70s through the 90s that is often not. I see it in comic books today, like Western comic books. Please give me a comic book that is on matte paper, that's colored with like color pencil or painted or something. I can see the pencil, like all the computerized stuff. You have to make an effort to make things dirty, because that's why people like film. It's the imperfections that create an aura, of different vibe. If they did that I'll rant about it all the time, in the Batman. It's a movie that's filmed digitally, but they like put it on, they like process it and put it on film. It was filmed with lenses that were like beat up and messed up and weird. And so they get this process of like a grimy image, because otherwise you watch any Marvel movie basically, and it's sparkling clean and brightly colored. It was like one of the few exceptions was Loki. It looks a little bit different for once, and it can be easy for people to make, go in trends, and a lot of anime today just feels clean and computerized and stale. And so I do like the art style of the characters in this feels modern. The use of colors and some of that, I think, makes it fresh and fun. Even if it's clean, it's fresh and fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it, I think.
Well,
I think,
and
to your point. Oh, sorry, Andrea, just a real quick point. To your point about just the
yeah,
atmospheric nature of like stuff from the 70s through the 90s, I think that's even not just strictly anime. I think about like watching, and some of it's nostalgia, but watching movies from back then. Like, I think of like watching like some of my favorite movies from like the 80s and stuff, like The Labyrinth and
mhm.
like the old cartoon Hobbit movie from like the 60s and the Rankin Bass The Hobbit. There's just that quality, and yeah, it's like an atmospheric quality, like Dark Crystal, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Secret Garden, like just all these movies from when I was a kid. And again, whether it's the nostalgia aspect or that's just how they made movies and cartoon movies and films back then. It's just, yeah, it's this like mystical kind of like vibe or never ending story, just like these. I don't know, you know what
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Good old days. People are watching this be like, wow, these
It's
guys are old.
it's yeah, but
Old people talk.
there'll be
There'll be a
younger
time to be
people.
appreciated.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there'll be younger people that will end up, feeling nostalgic for things that were not nostalgic for, like that they have no rights to be nostalgic for, because
Right.
it is a thing not of today
Mm-hmm.
and feels markedly different
Mm-hmm.
for one reason or another. Whether you can put your finger on that. I was listening to some
Sure.
people talk today about how most audiences just consume, just kind of washes over them. Did it
Mhm.
make them feel nice or not? And then they like it or they don't, based on
Mhm.
that. There's not really an analyzation of why that is, or whatever. And so
Sure.
a lot of people, it will resonate or it won't, depending on your age.
Sure.
Won't matter. I think whether it resonates or not. But and yeah, it's stuff that's different. It's like with the things you're talking about. That's director vision. That's practical effects. That's using film.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Those three things can make a really big difference. You go digital. You go computer generated graphics,
Mm.
and then you have someone that doesn't have an artistic eye, and all of a sudden you have something that's just stale.
Terrible.
Just stale.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Andrew, you're
Okay,
going to say something. I interrupted you
Yeah.
a while ago.
Oh yeah. So what I was going to say is, to John's point about, Batman versus Marvel. I think there's, a balance there, because Marvel was very clean and there was a place for that. I mean, when you're thinking, superheroes, like Batman is just
Right.
you think grimy, dirty, like darker, like you can't have Batman be clean, because then it's not like you're as an audience member, you just kind of reject that. You're like, this isn't the world. You already know.
Yeah.
So I think there's like
yeah.
a place for Marvel's kind of, presentation, their kind of like, vision for cinematography and how clean things were, how digital things were. But it's the inundation,
Yeah.
it's the sameness. It is the lack of inventiveness, joy, originality that like eventually happened. It didn't happen for a while. There was quality for a long time, and then
good
it
years.
just, there were, and then it sunk because like it gets stale. And I think this kind of circles back around to something I was thinking of earlier with Dandadan, is, when we were talking about like stereotypes and tropes and things, and then like thinking about our characters not being that, not fulfilling that, while our content, for the moment isn't terribly deep. If our characters weren't deep, there would be this like very formulaic feel to this show, because you would have not deep content, you would have stereotyped characters, and you would think like, nobody put any thought into this. Nobody cared. They just were like, here is an element of anime, here is an element of anime, I will put them and make a show, and it would feel soulless. So that's why I think I was like thinking about the ways that like these characters were different, because if you just take like, I know these things will speak to this and I know these things will speak to this, oh hey, this seems popular, like you haven't thought about it as a showrunner. You haven't like thought about things, like when you're saying creating the world of Batman, like you had to do like X number of things to get this grimy, gritty feel. Put a lot of thought and effort into like, how can I evoke the gritty world of Batman through like the technology? So I don't know. It's just kind of like circling around in thoughts for me of like, you can tell when people care about their craft and they find inventive ways to communicate to you, your world building, your setting, what their product is going to be about. And that's what sparks things, conversations like these that go beyond, did I like it? Did I not? Okay, why did I like? What did I like? What did I think about, when this happened or when this character showed up on screen?
Yeah, I think that's, what I think is part of the reason that anime manga is so successful, is because they're able to take in essence a formula or a set of stereotypes that the culture has developed over time, and then the good stuff is not afraid of those things, recognizes them and uses them, but how can we have something different?
Mm-hmm.
What is our different element? And I've heard that about Chainsaw Man, which I absolutely love. Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man totally has some stereotypical characters. They do this sort of trio of protagonists that we would look at like in Jujutsu Kaisen or whatever. But then they add this thing of like, hey, but what if our characters had powers that were like horribly bad for you? Like they had really awful side effects.
Yeah.
So as someone put it before, I think in our comments before, glass cannons. And so that creates a different drama between these characters and in this world than you have. And so it's using things that we immediately can recognize and we can latch on to and appreciate and understand. But then we can use a little bit of energy to understand how this is different. And I think Dandadan's kind of doing that too. And it's really great when it's done well, because I've read a lot of comic books in the last few years trying to do different stuff, and a lot of my reading is like, it's fine, but it doesn't grab me. And I'm like, is there something wrong with me that it's not grabbing me? It's like there are elements of stuff where, and then you pick up something and it just absolutely clicks. I just read a Dracula comic that was really good. And I've heard Dracula plenty of times, but here's our little different take.
Yep.
And it works out then.
For sure.
It's such a fine needle to thread to, call out a stereotype, but not stick to that stereotype so much so that it's flat. And you're like, well, this is just what it is. It's too surface, which can work sometimes for like side characters and things like that, but never really for your mains. But then you can't like do a zag, like that's something like, okay, here is my main, stereotypical character. Here's something wildly different that just like kind of breaks people. It's like, oh, it's too much, or you didn't have like a good reason. You didn't develop it well. It seemed out of place. You really have to like go in between. Like if you're going to change something, change it with like intention and meaning.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that people will be invested and interested in like, oh, that is different. Like, what is that about? So it's
That's
tough.
where,
like, I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the understanding or the like study of story writing, film makes a difference. That's what they always told us in school, is like, you got to learn the rules before you break them. So you understand what you're trying to make an audience feel when you're breaking a rule. Because if you break the rules that have been established willy-nilly and you don't know what, you're going to confuse people.
Just doesn't make sense.
Know where their eye should go. Yeah, it's like, so understand the stereotypes, understand the archetypes, the tropes, understand all those things, use them. But when you understand them, and you can mess with them. Then you can mess with them. Otherwise, it just becomes a mess.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Well, do we have anything else to say about Dandadan?
Not so
How do you
far.
say? How would you say Dandadan? Really Minnesotan accent, Andrea?
It's Dandadan.
It's so good. Love it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, you're gonna have to say our outro and next week on Dandadan.
Dan.
I love you can't even do it, John. You're like so.
Yeah, I didn't want to try.
Your
I feel
soul
like
is like stop.
The worst.
yeah, it doesn't come natural. I know there's things I say that are like verge on that, but
Me too.
it's kind of minimal, I think.
No.
Everyone's shocked.
No.
Well, yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Well, I was trying to pull up because it was relevance to this show. I captured the other night in the field a UFO.
Oh, cool.
Camera. Yeah. So
Seriously?
I will text it to you guys, but I was trying to get it so I could share it on here. So if you guys want to, chat for a second, I'll see if I can.
Wow.
Sure.
Have you guys tell me? Take turns. Tell me. Have you had any experiences with UFOs?
I haven't, but my dad has when he was out deer hunting in like the early 90s.
Yeah. Yep.
He was in his tree stand at like dusk, and he said it was like a kind of a breezy evening, and so this is like northern Wisconsin, kind of up near, in the general vicinity of like the south shore of Lake Superior, not like right on the shore, but I grew up kind of in that area, region of Wisconsin. So I was out in the country, in a field, and he said the night just got like super still, like the wind stopped blowing, and this would have been like probably November. It's like gun hunting season, so. Maybe it was bow hunting season, so maybe it was earlier. I think it was like September or October, maybe. He said things just got super still, and like there was no like crickets. Everything got really quiet. And he said he saw the ship like not even that far, like across the field, like up in the sky. And then he said all of a sudden it was just like gone, like it didn't disappear. It flew away, but it flew away so fast that it was just like gone. And he swore it was not like a dad joke. Like, let me tell you a story about this like thing. He was like, no. And I actually asked my mom about it. Because my dad's, some memory stuff going on at this point. He's, he's older. But I was like, did dad really was that just to mess with us when we were kids? And she's like, no, I don't. No. And my mom's a straight shooter. She would tell me if she went.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah. Judy. She's like, no, dad always said that really happened. You really saw that. So, and I've watched enough documentaries about aliens, UFOs and stuff that have described a similar experience of like a ship, like ships, these massive ships that are making no noise. And then all of a sudden they're just like leave so fast. It looks like they just like disappear. So I was like, that's legit. And, I also am a believer now. I'm glad you brought this up, John. I just love this kind of stuff. I've watched documentaries where like scientists, like hard scientists are like, yeah, I mean, if we look at like the number of like just in our galaxy, like the number of stars and the number of like, we can like kind of extrapolate how many are likely to have like potentially life sustaining, in the Goldilocks zone, and like do the math, and it's like 10 to the blah, blah. There's like 10 billion potential habitable planets in our galaxy alone. So like these scientists are like, the math would suggest that there has to be life out there besides us. Space is so massive and vast that it like almost mathematically can't be possible for us to be the only life. And there's all these theories on like why we haven't met, maybe you guys know some of this, but probably all the viewers don't. But like there's these different theories, like maybe it is just incredibly rare. So it's like rarer than we think for life to just kind of like spring forth in a particular environment. or maybe like there's this particular like it's really like maybe like simple life is super abundant in the universe, but there's like some sort of like threshold that lots of species will like can't quite jump over, and so like there's not a lot of intelligent life in the universe. Like, but then once, you know, if you can clear that threshold, then so there's probably other intelligent life somewhere. Or there's like a theory where it's just like maybe aliens have come here, but we are so less advanced than them that it'd be like if we went up to an anthill and we're like, I don't even know how to communicate with this ant. Like, I don't know. I couldn't communicate with an ant. And so maybe people, they're like, we're so more advanced. Like, we don't even have mouths. We just like, it's all telepathically. And so I don't even know how to communicate with these creatures who still use their mouths to like communicate with each other, like, you know. So there's all these, it's super interesting. Love it. I'm a big fan.
Nice.
Obviously.
Yeah, I want that. I want that clip. Like, I don't know how to communicate with an ant.
Right.
Do you?
Yeah. So okay, wait. So did you get this picture?
I did. Yeah. So
okay.
First, Andrea, have you?
Oh yeah, I want to hear the story too. Yeah, I want to hear your story too.
Oh, I mean, I haven't had any experiences personally, no.
Okay.
But I was just thinking about, like, you know, the probability of, you know, other life out there. I feel like that is like two separate questions, because like you were saying, Phil, like there's clearly abundance out there for like the potential for life. But then when you start thinking about like all the factors that go into it, it's like, okay, well, you have to clear the hurdle of like your intelligent life. Okay, like if we think of ourselves humans as intelligent life, because, you know, we don't really have any other bar. We don't have any like comparisons. We have no benchmarks to say like, we are intelligent life.
Well,
but like
we have other
animals.
But
you know, using
we're the
us
most intelligent thing in our we're
using
the most intelligent life we know of.
Yeah, using us as a benchmark. So okay, so like we think of like how many fewer, you know, potential other species have reached like this level of intelligent life. But like even we're still like struggling to like meaningfully permeate outer reaches of our galaxy. You know what I mean? Like to travel. Like we still don't have that. So like
not even outer reaches of our own solar system.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like there's so many bars to like getting to there. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's like it is likely, but it's just it becomes infinitely less likely. Not that it can't. Sure. And I don't mean to come off as like a skeptic, but I just think about like, you know, why isn't it just like everybody has experience with a UFO, or like if we think about like the potential for life in so many billions of planets and other, you know, spaces, why, you know, we wouldn't just be like talking to each other.
You know, my theory is to your point, Andrea, just kind of my theory is that maybe aliens don't want us to become aware of them so much, because I think probably because it takes such a long time. Even if you can, let's say aliens can travel at the speed of light, if they're from, you know, 400 light years away, it would still take them 400 years to get here.
Yeah.
And so, or more, you know, I mean, that's because space is so huge. And so unless you really can like use wormholes so that you're not dealing with such these huge chunks of time, because maybe there's aliens monitoring the Earth, but they're from the other side of the universe. And so what they're seeing when they look at Earth is like either way before we were here or way after we're here, depending on how that distance is bending time. You know, so they might be like, well, there's just a bunch of cavemen walking around. Well, we're not going to go there yet, or whatever. But, you know, and so it's just, you know, and so maybe, but if wormholes exist, then that can mess with time and like almost like time travel. And so then they might be like, well, we can't let this, you know, if they know about wormholes and traveling in between wormholes, they're going to know how to manipulate time and the time stream a little better. So there might be like, well, we got to be careful. There's not like
now we have ethics,
multiverses and stuff. And so, you know, some humans know, but all of humanity can't know, because that will mess up like time stream. Or
it's like one of the basic rules of time travel is like you can't mess with like events that can, you know,
so they might intentionally not be Who knows? So hard to
You
say.
added in a whole other elements to this, Phil. But I don't know. The time travel element, because that to me is
Space-time continuum.
That's
Yeah, but time
Yeah,
and
I know,
space
right.
and distance are all related.
I get it.
But have you seen Interstellar? Right, that's like
I actually haven't.
real
No.
shit. What?
No.
I'm sorry. Pardon? You haven't seen Interstellar,
Eh?
Jonathan?
Eh? No,
Wow, oh,
I
dude,
should. I
watch
definitely
it.
should.
That's like a hard science movie. They did a ton of like consulting with space scientists and stuff for that movie.
Yeah, mean,
I love
whole,
Phil sells you on the hard science movie, and he's like the space scientists.
Whatever, you know what I mean.
I totally know what you mean. It was just like really funny.
Y'all want to start a podcast about space and aliens and stuff? Because that's what we should. That's what the people.
Is this
really
like
hear.
your next pitch to get me to watch that show? God, what were you like? So there was like,
Oh,
I
Beyond
swear to
the
God.
Curve about the flat earthers.
no, the show.
Oh, The
that you were on-
Expanse.
Yes, that's it.
Expanse.
I was-
That's so
oh
good.
my
I
God.
tried to get
I
both of
swear
you
to
on
God, there was
that
like a
show.
solid 5 years where you were like,
Oh,
"The
it's so good.
Expanse."
The Expanse is awesome. You guys like The
Yeah, there
Expanse?
would definitely have to. We'd have to definitely have to be Dune or something. I do think that you'd have to develop unless you're a species that just lives so long, and like 400 years is not a
True.
meaningful amount of time.
True.
But I
So
find
you're
that
an
less
alien
likely.
vampire.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mhm.
Just like that.
I think that I've seen the idea of like of like folding space time towards yourself, basically. So
Sure.
you're basically they're bringing everything closer as opposed
Yeah.
to just trying to go fast. I
Sure.
think it to be something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know that and I'd have to see a lot more on that, because with anything on my understanding right now is like any sort of time stuff, time travel, multiple universes,
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to me.
Mm.
Like I get the a lot of people like the idea of a multiverse thing. I don't
Mhm.
think that practically makes a lot of sense. We don't
I
really
wouldn't
have
say I'm
any
an
evidence
expert,
for that
yeah.
sort of thing.
Sure.
But yeah, the time of like just perception of viewing the past
Mhm.
because of great distances, because it takes that long for the light to get to
Right.
you. That's cool, and that's about
That's
the
more what I'm
extent of,
referring
like,
to, not like
time.
actual time travel, like where I'm like, I'm gonna go to
Mhm.
my time machine and like,
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, time. Yeah, it's like, yes, good. That's a great point. Like, yes, when you're looking at a star, you're looking at that star from, depending how far away it is. If it's like from across the universe, you're looking at it from like 12 million years ago.
Right.
So it is all connected. That's what you saw.
Okay, so this is
Whoa.
I have a video here. So
Oh, it's a video?
It's a video, even.
yeah,
I
I
like
took a
it.
video. So I was in the tractor, I don't know what time it was,
Sure.
9 something, 9:30, whatever. And I've seen something weird at this same field before, but not that looked like a spaceship thing.
I think that's the
So I was
Millennium
going along.
Falcon.
Yeah, right. I saw a little bar of light off to my
Yeah.
side, and I started moving my hand around, thinking like it's a cab light, something
Okay.
in the tractor that's like a
Yep.
reflection, and I was like,
Yep.
I'm not blocking anything off. So I
Right.
stopped and I
Yep.
got out,
Yep.
and then just grabbed my phone and recorded whatever I could see of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dark. It's you can ignore the sound. I'll play the sound, but you ignore it. It's just the sound of my tractor.
Okay.
And I'm just right outside its cab. It seemed about in the so my first thought was, is this like Starlink or something? Because at first I thought, is there a little separation? Because I know that looks funny, but it's like, no, I know what that looks like. That's further apart in a row.
Yeah.
It can be weird, but this
Okay.
looked like one thing. But that's my first thought. And then I was thinking also with that, well, it doesn't seem high enough to be like a satellite. Satellite is quite high. It looks like a star. This seems quite a bit lower than that, more around somewhere a plane would fly.
Airplane would go.
And I actually had seen airplanes earlier in the day, like smaller ones that were rather low, and then commercial ones that were quite high.
Yep.
This felt like somewhere in between there.
Okay.
And then it's sort of just, you'll see it sort of just move. It's moving northeast, just sort of slowly at this angle, and then just fades out.
Okay.
So it fades out.
It wasn't cloudy. Yeah, it wasn't cloudy. I mean, it was very dark, so I couldn't see like if it happened to be clouds, but it never reappeared. And I could see a lot of other stars. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think it was a very cloudy night.
Okay.
So it's not long. I will give it a play.
Okay.
All right, zoom out. Just give
Oh.
perspective. All right, zoom back in.
How quickly are you having to move? Like with the
It's slow.
slow?
Slow.
It's long.
And then it'll just start fading out. And then, like,
Weird.
where'd it go?
Interesting.
That was so strange.
Yeah, the fade out is weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, a cloud, it would just cut off. You'd see it where
Right.
it starts and then go behind it, and it would show up again or something, you know, went behind.
Yeah.
Well, and you can like
right.
see other like even right now I can see other stars in the background.
It just, it just starts getting dimmer.
So it's not like a
What
cloud.
were you? And at the moment, what were you? Were you like, this is interesting? Whatever. Were you like, what the f? Were you kind of creeped out?
I guess now I've seen enough stuff that it's like, well, I don't know. It didn't make me too weirded out other than like later when I'm
Sure.
done and I'm
Yeah.
putting everything away and it's all dark and stuff. Is like, I
Yeah.
told Ashley, I'm like, if I start acting weird, you know, it's probably because I was abducted, you know, joke around. But
Yeah.
so no, I wasn't freaked out because it wasn't like approaching fast.
Sure.
It was, my mind just always goes through the options. What
Yeah.
could it be? And
So what do you think it was?
it runs out quick. Yeah, it runs out quick of options. Because
Mhm.
a couple years ago at the same field up at the yard or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I saw a ball of light
Mm.
that was quite close, like way
Cool.
lower than a plane,
Yeah.
basically in the yard. And a few days later, I saw one in my own yard, and I was like, I
Weird.
felt like that. I felt like I was on something because it's like, what the f is that? You
Yeah.
know, like
Sure.
really no idea.
Yeah.
This
Wow.
again, it was far enough, but it's I have no explanation. You know, it's not going to be a drone.
No.
You know, I'm used to drones. They have flashing lights on them. You know,
Sure.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And,
That was
it's
like
not a
big,
plane.
I think. That looked big.
yeah, like say it's hard to get a feel for the size,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it felt large-ish. It felt like an airplane size or something, you know.
Yeah.
Um, obviously not a plane. Those planes
No.
don't just sort of drift like
No.
that.
And there's no
And-
like sound. You
No.
probably, if it had been a plane, could you have heard over the sound of your tractor?
If it flew over me,
Yeah.
it flew over me, you know. But
So
it's never.
so if that thing was making noise, you could have probably heard it even over the sound of your tractor.
If it flew over me, it didn't really. It flew out. So
Oh.
I'm seeing what the way the sound would work. I probably wouldn't have heard a plane.
Sure.
But it's a bar of lights.
Yeah.
So unless
Yeah.
plane that's sort of like, I don't know.
And again, like you said, it wouldn't just like fade
No.
Yeah.
like it did. Like you'd be able to keep tracking it, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's no all like identified aircraft have to have like blinking lights on them and stuff. So I mean, it's clearly not,
Right.
unless it's like a secret government like spy plane or something like that
Right.
has like crazy whatchamacallit with the panels to make it just like go invisible all of a sudden. But
Exactly. So it's not like it's outside. It's not what I saw is outside the realm of known physics and what, but it would have to be something intentionally weird like that. Like
Yeah,
weird,
it's definitely not like a everyday thing that you can mistake for, you know.
no.
it had to
It
be
would
like
be, it
we're
would be
making
something
a
different.
weird plane that's going to make people think it's a UFO. and it's going to just sort of slowly fly through the sky in different spots, and we'll have the lights turn on and dim off when we feel like it.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that was a UFO. Like, what else could it be? Yeah. That's wild.
Well, by definition, it definitely is. So.
Well, yes, but I mean, yeah.
By literal, yeah.
Alien spacecraft, man. Hey, there's a documentary on Netflix called like Visitors or something like that, and it's like a 4-part documentary where they interview different people from like famous like mass sightings. The most interesting one was this village in Africa, not South Africa, but somewhere in the southern part of the continent, one of the countries, because I remember there was a lot of South African kids who went there. It was like a private Christian school. And like there was like 70 kids who all, and like a handful of teachers who all saw like a spaceship land nearby their school, and like a being come out and like try to talk to them. And like they all, like they interviewed they sent a psychiatrist there to interview the kids back in like the 70s, and then they found a lot of them for the documentary, interviewed them now as adults, and as the adults they're like 100% like this happened, like it's like no doubt.
You know, it would all make things easier if we just it wasn't so prevalent for people to lie about this stuff. You know, it's just like with crop circles, attention seekers, whatever, you know, people that literally have some sort of mental disorder, you know, like there's so many things that it makes sense. There's a reason why people would over many years dismiss it. You know,
these are
the
like
government,
school kids who have no reason to all make it up, and like it's like
but I'm just saying that muddies the waters. You know, it muddies the waters. So the Mexican government the other year released pictures that they said were aliens. It was like paper mache dolls.
Yeah,
that's the official.
I know.
Mexican government. Here you are. So like it breeds conspiracy. It makes it gives a lot of ammunition to skeptics, and it's just like what. So
maybe that's what the government wanted.
Maybe.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
What better way to hide the real thing than be like, oh, we got the real thing. A lot of people are like
time stream.
A lot of people are like, why is our government talking about this stuff now? Put out a task force when denial for so long. And they're like, well, it's just a distraction, you know, get people interested in something else, you know. It's, I don't know. I am totally on board with aliens exist. It's always been the question, have they ever visited? Has anything ever been here?
Yeah.
I have no answer for that.
No,
I have no explanation for this.
I presume they have
makeup
at some point.
You presume we have? Okay.
I presume they've visited it. I think it
definitely. I mean, I know eyewitness testimony is just, you know, it's just not a lot to go.
It's not always super reliable.
It's not. Memory is horrible.
Yep, I know.
But just so many people with something.
The interesting thing is,
like on drugs and crazy.
No, there's too many examples. I mean, some of them are undoubtedly made up or fake or exaggerated, but
yeah. But I know people in my own life. You do, you know. It's just like,
yep. The interesting part about this documentary, and specifically the example with the kids, is that this psychiatry professor from Harvard, like a researcher, flew there and was there for like a month interviewing these kids shortly after it happened. So it's like really well like documented and recorded and stuff. So you get to see a lot of that footage. And it was like legit. I mean, it's like legit. Like he ran like a research study with these kids. And they were like, this is like a boarding school, like a nice like boarding school. So there's like a bunch of like South African kids who went there from like wealthy families and stuff. These weren't, I mean, so it was really interesting. It just, in all ways, I mean, I think, I don't know. It just, and I think now we know these situations where you see multiple people that have seen the same, it's all saw the same thing. I know there's like some groupthink stuff that people will point to, but I don't know. It's pretty compelling.
Now I know what podcast you should start.
Which one? Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, you know what a podcast? Yeah, start one. Got it. I got you. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed my my firsthand UFO encounter that I got on iPhone camera. Best I could do.
That's awesome. Will you text that to us? I want to show Dana and my
Sure. Yeah.
and my parents.
I don't know if it'll turn
And
out
just
good
strangers on
on
the street.
Apple to iPhone, but I'll figure out something. So
Maybe email it
it or something.
That'd be great.
So, otherwise, Dandadan, glad we could get together to talk about that.
Me too.
And glad you had a fun Halloween. And I hope everybody out there did as well. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow us on all the places. We're on, podcast directories, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch the video version of us on Spotify. There's a join button on Spotify. I think it's called join. If you want to support the channel, that'll pay for this Restream membership we use for streaming. That'd be appreciated. Otherwise, follow us on YouTube, whatever you like. We're in all the places. So, yeah. Next time, we'll probably be back with more episodes of The Penguin on our regular Popcast on the Rocks show. Andrew and I are going through those, having a fun time there. And then we'll probably be back to some anime, maybe with The Terminator. And I feel like I need to brush up on my philosophy in order to discuss it. Because right now, that's what's interesting me about it is the philosophical, meanderings or, thoughts presented to me in the Terminator show, which is not what I was expecting really, but having fun with it. So yeah, that'll be it, guys. Phil, Andrea, thank you for both joining me, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Sean.
Bye, guys.
See you, Andrea.